talk about what's up there so that you know what's going to be given away and you know what you're trying to win. So we're going to give it one more minute and then we're going to get started.
I mean, it's entirely possible. No, I do not have one of your pages. Let me look in front.
Oh, God, he's... Oh, nope, that's not it.
I do not see one.
We're going to get the ad-lib version of tag. All right, let's go ahead and roll into this, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a couple of fun events that happen throughout this. We hope you enjoy the speech. You guys have seen him here before on the stage at SRF. Please welcome to the stage, even though he's already on the stage, Tag from LinkedIn Free.
Hello, everybody. Everybody hear me okay? Where's Callie?
Should be
okay.
4 minutes.
Okay, we're going to do the other thing first?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, guys, I'm here to talk to you guys today about freedom and about how the system lies to us. But if any of you guys who follow my YouTube channel, you'll know that I torture my wife. At every single opportunity I can get to make fun of her of the things that she does. But I had a bougie on my way up, and I kind of dumped it on these guys. I'm going to show it to you guys. So I have a friend of mine who, through networking, gives me pallets of all kinds of things. I've gotten pallets of bananas. I've gotten pallets of pepperoni, all kinds of stuff. So he called me on the day before I was coming up here, and he said, hey, I got 2 pallets of chicken feed. Are you interested? I'm like, heck yeah, I got 200 chickens. This will be great. Told my wife, you're going to get 2 pallets of chicken feed. Go ahead, Bobby.
I was told I was getting a pallet of chicken feed dropped off. And I get home, and there's 2 pallets. They say Tyson on them. I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I told you chicken feed. And I get chicken feed. I am a little confused.
Anyway, I want to thank Self-Reliance Fest for this staff because I just dumped this on them. But yes, I left my beautiful 5'4" wife at home to deal with 2 pallets of chicken feet. I wonder what we'll do with them, right? Yeah, right. I want to take a real quick moment too to thank Nicole. She called me and asked, this was last year, if I would come up and speak today. So I want to thank her for that. I'm going to give a couple of introductions real quick, just so those of you guys who don't know me. My name is Tag. I have a YouTube channel, Life Done Free. What you also need to know is that I'm a 100% off-grid homesteader. And I don't live in a little cabin. I have a 5,000 square foot home. I have big barns. Anybody that knows me, I have a big place. And we get our power through solar. We get our water. We collect it through the rain and through a well. We deal with our own sewer and our waste and those kinds of things. But what you also need to know about me is I belong to a large intentional neighborhood. And I hope you understood how I said that right there, because that's really important. I did not say intentional community. There's a very big difference between the two. A lot of people think that you go and you build community because you can go and harvest food together. Well, that's true. Or you go and build barns. We've built barns for people, houses for people, all kinds of things. All of those things are true, but I'm going to tell you guys something. The power of community really lies in our ability to affect our education system, to affect our local legislative system. We've created a medical system that doesn't take insurance. And what started as a clinic, 4 years ago, one little clinic now has 9 in a waiting list to get in to see them. This is the power of community, right? Backing up a little bit, though, as we talk about freedom, I'm going to tell you guys my background because it really is relevant to what we're going to talk about here today. So I spent 23 years of my life running financial holding companies. I don't know if you guys know what that even means. Okay, but a holding company is basically a shell company or a mother company. And what it does is it manages profits from lots of other companies. Okay, so like PepsiCo owned Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC. Okay, and so I did the exact same thing. And life was really good for me. I mean, I made lots of money, traveled everywhere. My wife had a beautiful car. The kids, everybody had everything they needed except their father. Right, and that was the hard part of that life. But I stayed in it, and I have to tell you guys, and I've said this on stage a million times, it's a little bit cowardice of me because the only time I took action is when they forced me to take action. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. But everything was fine until this year came around of 2020. Right, and I know this has affected many, many people. I received in February of 2020, I received an email from the CEO, and he said, hey, how do you feel if we mandate the vaccine for all the employees? You guys have to understand the scope of this. At that time, there was 900 people on the payroll. Okay, so my job in the company was I was in charge of all revenue. So every one of them answered to me. I took care of every bit of dollar that came through the front door. Once it reached the company, it was then sent wherever it went and whatever it did. But so I replied back to the CEO that day, and I said, I'm not in favor of this for several reasons. First, I think it's going to open us up to lawsuits. Somewhere down the line, could be through HIPAA rules or whatever, but I think that's going to happen. But more importantly, I'm not supportive of this because I don't think we as an employer have any ownership over the employees' bodies. This was not a vaccine issue. This was, I don't think it's fair for us to make somebody do that. I don't care. I mean, it's up to them, right? And I thought that if I hit it hard, this was my fatal mistake, but I thought if I hit it hard right there, he would just back off. And he would just leave me be. About a week later, I get a mail correspondence from him, and he says this, and I'll never forget this as long as I'm alive. He said, we are going to go forward, we are going to mandate the vaccine, but I think it would serve the company best if you did it. Yeah. And so what I learned that day, it wasn't about the vaccine. It was about control. It was about because I took him on, head on, he wanted to see if I would, be a good boy. So initially what I said to him is I said, Jack, his name's Jack, I said, Jack, I'll get it taken care of. I scheduled a meeting, went home, and man, did the soul searching start. right at that moment. And it wasn't very long, and the meeting came, and that day is a very interesting day for me because, they talk about how in soldiers, as I was one, time slows down. It was kind of as true for me a little bit there, and I walked into the building, and the boardroom, it was so nice. They were so nice to me that day. They put my hand on my shoulder. What a great example of leadership, right? The CEO, everybody was nice. The day started, the CEO took the stage, and he got up there and he talked a lot about one team, one mission. We got to do for each other. And for you guys who don't know the corporate world, everything is orchestrated. Everything. Okay, there's a reason he did that, and that was to set me up. He wanted to make my job easier, and I bet if you ask him today, he will tell you he did me a favor. I bet you. So he said all of these nice things. It came my time. I got up on stage and I said, hey, I love everybody. I wish you all the best of luck. I ain't going to mandate anything. And ended my 23-year career. I was escorted off stage, and that was the end of it. Yeah. But you know what's crazy though is the real work was now just beginning. I didn't realize it at the time. Right? So now what do you do? I mean, I can go back and I can get another job. I have a super specialized set of skills. I can go do it again. What I came to realize in all of this is that at the end of the day, I was a slave. There was two really big points, that you lay in bed at night that you think about. And we were busy. We were trying to build a homestead, get off grid, get water, get all of these things. But at night, my mind was wrapped up into trying to understand it. How all this happened. And so I learned that I was a slave, and I know that this audience is full of pirates. We're all pirates. You wouldn't be here if you weren't a pirate. Right? I knew that. But I'm going to tell you guys, most of us are slaves. Okay, and there's a lot of reasons why we're slaves. The second big lesson for me that I learned that day was that I really was nothing more than a rechargeable battery, a non-rechargeable battery. Right? We are the power. We are what powers the system. It's not about money. Money is actually the land of make-believe. I'm actually going to demonstrate it today on stage, but understanding that I was a slave and understanding that I was this battery and that my battery charge some point will run out. And guys, let me tell every one of you, your battery charge will run out. And when it runs out, they will replace you like that. They'll replace you for the next upgraded model. The system has us convinced that we should spend all of our energy and all of our effort on powering this machine that could care less about you. Right? It's absolutely insane. So let me demonstrate what I mean by money is the land of make-believe. Bobby has agreed, he didn't really want to, but Bobby has agreed to be the IRS man today. Right, Bobby?
I hate my job. I hate my dog.
I am the IRS.
But I don't know if you guys know this, but if you count all the taxes you pay, I'm talking about property tax, sales tax, when you go to the gas station, all of that, the average American today is paying 59% of their income in tax. 59%, but I'm going to tell you, this is actually an illusion. It's not even real, and it took me going through everything that I went to actually grasp this in my head, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you guys today. So let's say it's $100, right? And
I'm sorry, that belongs to me.
yeah, I promise you we're going to get there.
I am theft. I am theft.
You are. I own this, however, so first what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the first 59% and give it to the IRS agent. Right?
Corporate retreats for cocaine Mexico.
You're supposed to stand up here. You're getting direction from the boss.
I am the IRS.
Yep. So I have $41 left. I'm super excited though, right? I get to buy something for $41. Right? So somebody in the audience has something I can buy for, you got something to buy for $41? Oh, look at this. Okay. Okay, so I got a toothpick for $41. But wait a minute, before you go there, hold on. You got a pretty good deal, right? $41 for a toothpick?
Yeah.
But it wasn't as good a deal as you thought it was. Because before you go any further, please pay the IRS man 59%.
That's
Yeah, 59%.
Not homeschooled math.
Rebecca, I'm on a limited time, 59%. 59%. No, I'm just kidding, $24.
Okay. I still got some though.
You got $17. More cocaine, Mexico! You got $17. How cool. So what can Rebecca buy from somebody for $17? Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, hold on, Nicole, don't go very far. Okay, she got a bottle of water. So now Nicole needs to pay the IRS 59%. That's $10. Yeah, I'm not doing this.
I am theft, not him.
So she's got $7 left. Did you guys see that in just 3 transactions, the federal government got 93% of the money back? In just 3. So let me ask you, what's the point? Makes no sense, right? I mean, it literally makes no sense. You can give it to him. Good. Bobby, please take that buy opportunity tickets and please give it out to the audience, okay?
We're up to $1,600.
Bobby, thank you. I know that was very painful for you.
I don't want to talk to you ever again. Oh, by the way, other mission.
Guys, what you must understand is that money is actually the land of make-believe. And again, as I mentioned, in 3 transactions, they got all of the money back. You know, if we took it to a 4th transaction, what would be left? $2.87. Right? It never really existed. It didn't. So again, the point is the battery. It was the lesson that I learned leaving my company is that I really was the battery. Right? It really didn't have anything to do with the money. And I find it fascinating that the same people that just recovered $93 of 100 $38 trillion in debt and have the nerve to give you a credit score. Yeah. Right? How absolutely ridiculous is that? Anybody you can ask, anybody know how much debt the world's in worldwide? $324 trillion. We're never going to get out of it. I'm telling you, they will never pay it off. Right? We can get into what they'll do. That's a whole speech for a whole other day. But again, what you have to understand is that currency is nothing more than an exchange vehicle for energy. The system's convinced us that this energy should be spent on keeping the machine running with this perpetual growth and the ceiling of the stock market. Instead of us taking our energy and investing it in something real. Right? And it's the fatal trap that most of us fall into. We must acknowledge that life spent powering the government under this guise of success and standing is also an admittance that we're an energy slave. We have to look ourselves in the mirror. We exist to power, not to pay for the government. And this is not freedom, and it is certainly not liberty. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, but if we don't have all these taxes, these poor people will suffer. Right? We've got to have these taxes, because if we don't, what's going to happen? I know that most of you would agree that these tax dollars are what keep us safe and healthy, right? Did you know in the United States of America today, we spend 100% more on healthcare than any other modernized country? We're currently spending $4.8 trillion a year, which is 18% of our GDP. Charges for hospital services in the United States of America are 60% higher than they are in Europe. Yep. But with all this spending, we've got to have great health care, right? Anybody excited to go to a hospital today? Do you guys know that 9 out of 1,000 people die each year in the United States of America? You guys know what it is in South America? 6. In South America, 6 of 1,000 people die each year. In America, it's 9. It's the overall mortality rates, right? I come from the mortality world, right? Yeah, it blows you away. Africa, by the way, 7. You know what Qatar is? Over in the Middle East, 1.6. I don't have that. Great one to look up. Gotcha. Lifespan in America has been declining, and I'm sure many of you know this, but the average American today will live to 76.1 years. In Spain, it's 85. In Japan, it's 86. In the calendar year of 2016, 1 million children were diagnosed that year with ADHD. 1 million. By the time 2025 is over, we will exceed 11 million this year alone. In 2014, autism rates were 1 in 68. By many studies today, it's 1 in 10. Did you know for the first time in American history, obesity outnumbers those underweight? For the first time. How many obesity commercials do you see on TV? 0. Right? 0. You know, probably the most alarming number to me is they're now saying 46% of children today have a chronic illness. How does 46% of the people who are supposed to be the healthiest, how does 46% become chronically unhealthy? Right? So apparently our taxes suck. We pay too many, and the healthcare system sucks. But all that spending's got to go somewhere, right? We have to be really good at something, right? So let's say, anybody agree we have the best food in the world? Yeah, you guys are great. The U.S. food system has deep corruption built into it. You guys, there's not Oz behind the curtain. This is a system, right? It's built into our system. 4 firms control 85% of beef packing. 4 firms control 70% of the global seed market. 4 firms control 80% of the American food supply. And you know who owns those 4 firms? BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. Okay? That's who's controlling them. This level of concentration means that farmers and consumers really have very little choice. Farm subsidies today overwhelmingly favor corn, soy, wheat, and rice, not fruits, not vegetables, and certainly not regenerative farming. The revolving door is common. Executives from places like Monsanto, Cargill, Tyson, etc., cycle in and out of USDA and FDA leadership positions. Does anybody find it crazy that Bayer owns Monsanto? Bayer makes cancer drugs. Monsanto makes Roundup. Did you guys also know that Bayer controls a large percentage of the supplement market? So your vitamins, your minerals, all of those controlled by the same company. What's that? Seed companies as well. Yep, labels like natural, cage-free, and organic are often meaningless and misleading. Ultra-processed foods, you know, that cheap, addictive, profitable stuff dominates our shelves today, even though it drives diabetes and heart disease. And if you look at the mortality table, someone who comes from risk, those are at the top. Moreover, you know, some of the highest concentrations of this type of food are now in our education system. And they've now tied that ultra-processed food to cognitive decline. Right? And it's concentrated in our education system, which we'll get to, I promise you. A little while ago, I have a friend of mine, you guys all know him, Joe Salatin, right? So I serve on a board with him. Back in July, we got Joel to come down to our community. And we had a great community day, had a big dinner, that was all fine. But the other thing we did while we were there is we got him to speak at one of our local schools. And so he got up onto, you know, he's going to get up on stage, talk about food, but it was so funny to me. Right before he got on stage, he asked one of our community members who happens to be a teacher there, hey, will you go get me what's for breakfast? And dude, the school didn't even see it coming. It was so great. So she goes and she brings back this roll of donuts, white donuts in plastic, and something called a fruital. I don't even know what it is, but like a pastry. And it was in there, and Joel stood on stage, and the board was there, and the teachers were there, the administration was there, the students were there, right? We filled this auditorium, and he starts reading these off, and I'll never forget watching all of those board members' heads lower, right? They know better. This is systemic, right? This comes from places way beyond it. I'm telling you, our school has its own shooting range, has its own greenhouses, right? We have a shooting club in my local school. So we're on the other side, and we're still there. Because again, it's created by the system. The medical and food industries profit when people are sick, and there's really little incentive to push for healthier change. You guys know Pfizer's been in business 175 years and has yet to cure anything. How crazy is this, right? Raw milk, direct meat sales, and traditional food practices are heavily regulated, or, and a lot of you know this, outlawed. Right? I have a good friend, Mark Baker from Baker Green Acres. I love the guy. If you guys don't watch his channel, you really should go watch it. He is this soldier who came back, got in a fight with the FDA, decided to take it to him, sued him, and won, right? And this guy sends them an email weekly to remind them that Mark Baker's still selling raw milk, okay? So this guy is a savage, okay? Mark Baker, Baker's Green Acres, and the Anyone Can Farm experience in Michigan. Anyway, where in the world was I at? Anyway. I lost it. Raw milk, direct meat, and traditional food practices are regulated, as I mentioned, under the banner of safety, while the industrial scale contamination scandals are treated as isolated incidents. The U.S. food system, again, it's corrupt by design, and it is to maximize the profit of corporations, not maximize nutrition, sustainability, and certainly not community resilience. So if our financial health and food systems are bad, but yet we're still spending all of this money, we got the greatest system in the world, right? You guys are so great. Right? Did you know the U.S. today, we're spending $18,614 per student. If you look at the average across the whole world in industrialized countries, they average $11,000. Okay, so the U.S. invests significantly more per student than any other modern nation, 70% more in K through 12 and double that at the collegiate level. Anybody know what the NAEP is? Okay, so this is the National Report Card, and it basically assesses students on how they're doing in things like reading and math and science. You want to hear their latest scorecard? All right. So in math, fourth graders, 65% of them are beneath proficient. In eighth grade, 68%. Right? It seems to get worse. In reading, fourth graders, 66% tested below proficient. And in eighth grade, 67% below proficient. The fact is, only 30% of U.S. high school seniors are proficient in reading according to their own report. Sanity. Math proficiency is even worse. You know, 12th graders, it's down to 25%. Right? There's obviously a trend here. It seems to get worse the longer we stay in it. It's crazy. But here's the good news. Our system's designed in a way that it gives you an out. They have a way to fix this. All you got to do is go get some student debt, and you can go to a top university, and if you do this, you won't have to settle for a lesser life. Right? There's another lie. The pressure to attend these prestigious institutions often ignores these alternative paths. They fuel debt and they fuel anxiety. We're encouraged to choose this costly degree for its brand name with no care to what value it actually brings. You guys know in 2023, the Department of Education partnered with a program to teach elementary school kids that we can be a girl, we can be a boy, we can be both, or we can be neither. In 2020, what an interesting year, right? 2020, did you guys know that the New Jersey public schools, okay, I'm going to pick on them, kind of, 16 students in all of the New Jersey public schools identified as non-binary. Since COVID, that number's up 4,000%. 4,000%. So we spend more. We're less intelligent, but we're more inclusive. What an interesting trade-off, right? So if our education, finance, health, and food have issues, man, we got the freedom of choice, right? We live in America. We got the freedom of choice. But my question that I want to ask you guys, are you sure you really want it? What I mean by that is it something you want, or is it something being sold to you, right? Because American consumerism is a system designed to extract wealth, manipulate behavior, and concentrate power rather than serve the well-being of the communities. A handful of corporations dominate every single sector: tech, food, media, energy, retail, etc. Anybody idea who they are? BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Right. Right. This concentration allows them to dictate prices, control the supply chains, and limit your alternatives. You know, they present us with these choices, but they're really illusionary choices because the brands themselves differ superficially, right? And again, they're owned by the same exact people. And also, many of the products we're getting now are designed to fail. I don't know if you guys know this. I come from this world, right? Planned obsolescence. That's right. Because this drives constant repurchasing, increasing profits for the corporations at the expense of you. I remember the old timers. It's funny I say that. I'm kind of turning into one. You ever hear them say they sure don't make things like they used to? That was actually real, right? See, you guys, advertising and media are designed to create perpetual dissatisfaction. I want to say that again. They are purposefully trying to keep you unhappy. You know why they do this? It's actually just business. That's right. It's 100% right. Are you more likely to make a purchase if you're upset or you're happy? They know this. They're not dumb, right? They want you to feel that. They've taught us our whole lives that we are, you know, the Kardashians. We are the advertisement. They purposefully do this. We are told that we need the next phone, car, or fashion item to be happy or successful. And yes, it affects us too. Preppers, homesteaders, you know how they get us? So what do you suppose happens in our homes when the next bad headline comes out? Right? Amen. Yes, we do, honey. Check the food list. Top off the tanks. Grandpa says, how we doing on spam? Right? They get us too. And we don't even know it. Behavioral science and those AI-driven algorithms are now optimized for your impulse buying. Consumer credit, student loans, the buy here, pay later systems encourage this perpetual debt. Interest payments and fees enrich the banks and the credit companies, trapping many consumers in cycles they'll never escape. Local, cooperative, and sustainable alternatives are harder to access and more expensive due to this lack of scale and the corporate lobbying. Consumers are subtly forced into this industrialized system. You guys remember the battery. We got to remember the battery because the battery is what powers everything, right? American consumerism is structurally corrupt because it is engineered to maximize corporate profits, manipulate your behavior, and concentrate wealth, rather than being maximized for well-being, equity, or sustainability. It encourages debt, overconsumption, and environmental harm, all while they give you guys the illusion of choice, right? Modern society traps us with these false choices, situations where we're led to believe we don't have any alternatives when many of them exist. Here we are at the Self-Reliance Festival, right? We're proof that they exist. These traps shape our behavior, our priority, our values to the benefit of these institutions, corporations, and power structures. Yes, you have a menu, but I have to ask you, who created it? Right? We're bombarded with advertising that presents us this consumption to a path of identity and status. Right? It's happiness. The choice of pursuing meaning, connection, creativity is sidelined in favor of go buy something. Education, consumerism, health, finance, all have their issues, but we have the last piece of hope. We live in a democracy, right? See, that's just another lie, right? Blows me away. Our two political narratives obscure thinking and shut down third-party and systemic reform debates. The system benefits from this polarization. It keeps us divided while ignoring the structural issues like corporate influence. Being told that voting for a third party is throwing your vote away, right? Anybody ever hear that? Well, of course, it suits them. Personally, I'll tell you guys a story in my county, and I live in Red County, right? I live in the middle of, I'm in Kansas, for those of you guys who don't know. I am a registered unaffiliated. I register because I want to be involved in my local school districts. I want to be involved in the local politics, so I do that. But the system is set up to where if I want to vote, I have to go re-register as a Republican or a Democrat, right? Because an affiliate can't vote in primary. A non-affiliated can't vote in primaries or anything like that. So it doesn't even matter what I pretend to be. Look at the Doles. I'm a registered Republican or Democrat. And I have no choice. It's either do that or don't get involved in what my daughter's learning in school. Right? Insane. Here in America, we get to have a career so we can have the American dream. Right? What a great dream. They tell us we can either chase our passion or we can have a stable job. Society often forces people into careers they don't love under this guise of practicality while exploiting our time and energy. The broader question we should be asking is, why is work structured to dominate our life? Right? This question is never asked. They want us in jobs because with this, they can convert your most valuable asset, a non-renewable asset, your energy, right, into a debt note that you know is the dollar, right? They get the profit, you get the crumbs. Then they take more than half of it back in the form of taxes. Then they convince you to put anything else you've got left in back into the market that's designed for them. And they do this under the lie that if you sacrifice now, you'll get to retire someday. Just another lie. Buy and hold, right? If we must work 60 hours a week for survival, there is no time left to pursue anything meaningful. They say if you're not grinding, you're falling behind. Right? A new house every 5 years, a new car every 3, and don't even get me started on the illusion of equity. That's a whole nother speech. The glorification of hustle culture shames rest, creativity, and slow living. It benefits the employers and the economy, but why you and me get to burn out. Anybody tired? Tired of the hustle? Right? See, you're free to choose, but we're only free to choose within these narrow, boundaries that they give us. And again, I think it's important that we focus on who makes the menu. Right? We're not making the menu. We're told we live in a free society because we can vote, we can shop, and we can speak, but the most meaningful areas are off limits. The common thread in these traps is illusion. Another word would be a lie, right? It's the illusion of choice, freedom, progress, and fulfillment. It's recognizing false choices require critical thinking, awareness of these systemic interests. And I'm going to slow down right here, so make sure you guys get this right. And the imagination to see what's missing from the menu, not just what's on it. When we stop asking for permission, freedom stops being theoretical, right? It becomes something lived. It's imperfect. It's risky, but it's real, right? It shifts from what you're allowed to do to what are you willing to claim responsibility for. The word freedom gets thrown around a lot. It's like the word community, right? And a lot of people don't even know what it means. And unfortunately, it took me losing my career to understand it. It took all of that time soul searching to really understand what it meant. And to me, it's when we create instead of wait. We don't seek to wait for validation, right, from our institutions, our bosses, and our gatekeepers. If you want to write that book, build that business, start that movement, even if no one appointed you to do it. We must redefine success instead of chasing what you're supposed to want, which is wealth, titles, and approval. You need to define your success on your own terms. Inner peace, meaningful work, time with your family, right? Creative freedom. We must act without justifying. You no longer feel the need to explain or apologize your choices when they don't match others' expectations. Go ahead, move to that remote place, start over, even change your name, not because someone said you could, because it felt right to you. Freedom, and this is a big one, guys, freedom is facing consequences directly. Real freedom isn't the absence of consequences. It's exactly the opposite of that. It's the willingness to face them because we are no longer outsourcing our decisions. Protest those unjust laws, even if it costs you your job or your reputation, because we have to understand that complicity is worse. We must design our life, not just fit into it. Freedom without permission means we stop treating life like this pre-built game. We start hacking the rules. You decide how your days look. You decide what value drives you and who gets your energy, most important, right? We need to build work life around our values. If you guys are in a career, if you're in a job where your values don't line up, get out now. Go find something else to do. Go build a life inside of your values. We have to stop performing. We have to let go of what it means to be good, normal, or impressive according to someone else's definition, right? We have to get raw, real, and human. Dress how you want, say what you believe, and we have to let go of these curated online personas. We've got to start asking better questions. Instead of asking, am I allowed to? Let's try, is this true for me? Let's try, is this harmful or helpful? Or what would I do if I wasn't afraid? What a powerful question. Most importantly, we have to build community. No person can provide for all of their own needs at any level beyond medieval. With community, you can limit the permissions we must ask. We can actually control the political narrative. We're doing it every day. We can control the educational curriculum. We're doing it every day. Freedom without permission always comes with discomfort, you guys. I'm telling you, risk and isolation. People will absolutely misunderstand you. The system will 100% resist you. But it also comes with something else, the feeling of being alive. When you stop asking permission, you stop living someone else's life. And for maybe the first time in your life, as it was for me, you start living your own. To live a life of true freedom, you need a mindset that is both resilient and radically honest. It's not about courage and it's not about rebellion, although those are coming too. It's about a deep psychological shift, and it begins with this radical self-responsibility. No one is coming to save me, and not only am I cool with that, I prefer it that way. Stop blaming others and waiting for ideal conditions. You understand that freedom and responsibility really are the same thing. Every choice you make is yours, and so are the consequences. Everything that happens to me is my fault, good and bad. We have to let go of victimhood, learned helplessness, and that external approval, and embrace community, ownership, and initiative. We must embrace comfort with discomfort. I'd rather be uncomfortable and free than safe and stuck. Freedom feels uncomfortable because of uncertain income, unpopular opinions, and lack of structure. But guys, if you need comfort, certainty, and consensus at every turn, you will default back to the very system that boxed you in, and you, my friend, are a slave. We have to let go of this need for guarantees and embrace risk, failure, awkwardness, and rejection. We must choose our inner compass over the outer noise. What's true for me matters more than what's expected of me. We have to get clear on our values, desires, and truth. We have to let them guide our choices. You develop the ability to hear yourself through the noise, the trends, and the fear. We have to let go of people-pleasing, social scripts, and performance. We have to embrace self-awareness, solitude, and intuition. We can no longer care about status or identity. You are not the roles you play. You realize that freedom requires shedding of old titles, reputations, expectations, and maybe even identities. We have to be willing to be understood, underestimated, and forgotten. We have to let go of labels, prestige, and this legacy obsession, and embrace fluidity, autonomy, and reinvention. We have to foster these problem-solving skills where there is always another way. Anybody who knows me, I always say this: everything's recoverable. We have to eliminate fear, because free people don't see walls, they see workarounds. They challenge false choices and find or create new paths. Stop asking, can I? Start asking, how will I? We have to let go of passive thinking, black and white logic, and embrace curiosity, iteration, and the hacking of our modern systems. We have to choose integrity over image. I'd rather be real than liked. We don't betray our inner truth. We say no when it matters. You leave when it's time, and you stand up and speak even if your voice shakes. You'd rather be hated for being free than praised for being a copy. We have to let go of social approval, fake harmony, and embrace honesty, courage, and self-respect. Finally, we must play the long game. We have to understand that freedom isn't always fast or easy. Are you willing to sacrifice these short-term comforts for that long-term alignment? Can you delay that gratification even if it costs you your money or your popularity? We have to let go of the impulsivity and the shallow rewards and embrace patience, depth, and process. Guys, the mindset of a free person is not reckless. It's exactly the opposite. It's intentional. It's built on self-trust, discomfort, tolerance, and a fierce commitment to the truth. Most of you and I at one day were not trapped by laws. We were trapped by fear. We were trapped by stories. We were trapped by assumptions. You want to see where you're at? I want to leave you guys with 3 questions. I don't need the answer, but ask yourself these things. What do I do only because I'm afraid not to? Where in my life am I asking permission that I don't have to? And most importantly, what truth am I avoiding because it just might change everything? Folks, we are no longer at a time where we can wait for someone else to save us. We will hand this country over to the ruling class and power structure, or we will take a stand. That stand begins between your ears. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. Thank you. Hear me okay? I got one other item of business I'd like to do if it's okay, but I want someone to join me. Callie, can you come here, please, dear? She just said, oh, shit. Come here, dear. For those of you guys don't know or didn't see her yesterday, this is Callie Blackwell. I've always had a special place in my heart for warriors, people who are willing to take it on. She risked it all. She gave it all, was willing to spend it all. And so we've always been buds for that. Today is her birthday. So if you guys don't mind, will you please join me? Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Callie. Happy birthday to you. I love you. All right, hey, tough.
Now you make me cry.
I'm kind of good at that. That's actually true too.
We probably have time for 2 or 3 questions. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask? Sonny.
Quick question. Can you spoke about today print, this should be given to every foreigner who wants to illegally immigrate here. That way they know what real America is. To every kid in school or homeschool. And I think you can make millions selling just what you spoke about today. Because
I missed the first half of his question, so I'm not. Oh, you got, okay.
We must know if you can get this printed and disseminated to people coming both into the country, to school children, and all sorts of people. Where is this available?
Yeah, I would love that. I've been asked 1,000,000 times to write a book, but unfortunately, I get myself caught in 2 pallets of chicken feet, and it just screws my whole day up. No, it's
send you guys to work the chicken.
I guess I can't argue with that. Yeah. One of the things that we're working on in our community right now is I've figured out how to fund. I've figured out the location in the building to build our own school. And it's something we've been working on. I'm trying to work through the legal sides because unfortunately, if we put ourselves in a position where we're asking permission from the government, that's also stroke. And that stroke, they can hang over my head and take everything that I have. So not only do I have to build it, I have to build it in a way they can't take it from me. And so this is something we're hoping to work through this year. I would love to have every single person coming over here from any other country. We used to go to civics class, right? We used to go through these things. I would love that. Go ahead, Bobby.
I more have a comment relative to what you just said about not having to deal with the system.
Okay.
I joined a private membership association. It's called Prosperous Legacy Advisors. And they have a website called Divine Law Masterclass that I think you should check out. It might provide an answer.
Kim, thank you.
Time for one more. And we have one in the back.
So this does go along with what Sonny was saying. You're going through a lot of things that I've never heard of, like creating your own school and doing it through the proper litigation so that they can't take it from you. When you do this, and I have every faith that you're going to do it and do it right and be successful in your endeavors, do you have plans on putting this information out there of how you went about it, and or at least where to get information about your local jurisdiction and stuff like that?
Yeah, good question. So you guys, the short answer is you guys can find me on Life Done Free on YouTube and Facebook. You can get it there. Also, we do lots of events locally. Come out to our community. Come experience it. I mean, come get in the weeds. The other thing is that my long-term plans don't end with my community. That's just the building block. I mean, I think ultimately one of the greatest ways that we the people can begin to take it back is let's create these hubs everywhere. Let's do business together. Let's get that counter and parallel economies and societies built. The problem is it's going to take a lot of people to stand up and stop being afraid. Right? That's where it's at, guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm very cautious of what they can take from me because I'm in their face. You know, I interviewed the commissioners from our county right before I came up here, and I can't wait to post that video. Right? I know, right? Yeah. And so I think it's just about getting enough people stood up and not stop being afraid.
Guys, what we're going to leave to the generation behind us is the reputation of being cowards. We are going to leave this. Get up, stand up, and I'll join you. I will stand beside you. Cool, Bobby? I make them. There's a rule, though. You can only have one if you're debt-free, and anybody that you see walking around with a free man hat are debt-free. Yep. Thank you, Bobby.
All right, give it up for Tag from Life Debt Free. Okay, I'm no longer the IRS, thank God. Okay, real quick. Some child, Lucius, has misplaced his children's events bags. If Lucius belongs to you, I've got his bag. You may send him, or you may come retrieve it. Coming up next, at 1:45 is Trading with Other Tribes by John I hope I say this right, Pugliano. I'm Italian and I can't even pronounce my own language. Trading with Other Tribes coming up next at 1:45. And everything is going to be a little bit of an ish this afternoon because we have a little bit of extra time worked into the schedule. So come on back. In the meantime, the Bees demo right over here behind Rebecca at the tent, as well as the butter churning, which I've already seen one lady back there already. Dude, I'm telling you, churning straight back behind the tent at K9 Fortress. We'll see you back in a few minutes.